Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Revisiting Disney. This is the series in which every week I pick an attraction or a restaurant or some part of the park, and I try to completely come up with a new idea for it, whether it's a refurbishment or it's a complete replacement for something else. And I don't do this because I actually think that most of these attractions need to be replaced or refurbished. I do it mostly for fun. I think it's a fun creative exercise. I think it's a cool way to think about the attractions we all know and love, to think about what makes them so special, and to try and come up with ideas that have the potential to be that special. And today we're covering an attraction that I could have sworn I had done in the past, but apparently I never did. And when I talk about classics, man, this is way up there as one of the ultimate classics. It is, of course, Pirates of the Caribbean in Adventureland in the Magic Kingdom. Now, this one was almost a tricky one, but once an idea popped into my brain, I went with it and I thought it'd be really cool. So here's the thing. Pirates of the Caribbean, famous attraction. It wasn't there from opening day, but it's been there for a pretty long time, and we now have 4 going on 5 and I think a 6th movie based on the attraction. And the attraction itself has been refurbished to sort of reflect that film. And so my first thought was, well, why not retheme it to be more in line with the movies? Give Captain Jack Sparrow more of a plot, make it almost like a ride based on the movies themselves. But I think a lot of Disney fans would really dislike that. And even in this magical world where we're imagining that we're doing these revisitings, we still have to think about the fans. So I wouldn't do that. In fact, I would move away from the pirate theme completely. I think any sort of retreading of the pirate theme without it being the classic Pirates of the Caribbean would be like asking for trouble. You would just have to completely sort of move on to something else. And I started thinking about, okay, well, what Disney properties could we use? Look at everyone. Oh, everyone's going crazy. And I had some trouble thinking of that because, we've got the Jungle Book, but that would go more in line with the Jungle Cruise. You've got Indiana Jones, but they sort of have an Indiana Jones over in Disneyland. And what would you do? Would you just recreate that attraction? That seems like it wouldn't be that great. So what is a way that we could bring the spirit of this ride to another ride? And so it made me think about what is the spirit of this ride. What I think is so fantastic about this ride and why I think this ride works so well is because it just sort of has the spirit of adventure. You're going on this adventure and you're seeing, through the eyes of the pirates who are there in this town, and they're going on their pirate adventures, and you're in your boat sort of watching them. And then I started thinking about something else. I started thinking about this recent deal that happened between Universal Studios and Nintendo. And believe me, I'm going somewhere with this. You got to bear with me here. Nintendo recently did a deal with Universal to create some attractions based on Nintendo properties. We don't know what part of Universal, if it's going to be in Florida, if it's going to be in Japan, what attractions are going to be made based on what properties. All we know is that there's a deal in the works. And a lot of people thought, wow, that's really clever to have this video game company pair up with this theme park to work on attractions. Why not? Why not have attractions based on video games? So then I started thinking about, okay, well, what could Disney do to combat that? What could they do to sort of do their own version of this deal? And then I thought, Sony, Uncharted, perfection. If you've never... Wow, those cats are loud. If you've never played it before, the Uncharted franchise is probably the closest to a video game version of Indiana Jones that you're going to get, not counting, of course, the actual Indiana Jones games. This is the closest you're going to get to really fantastic AAA experiences. You've got Nate Drake, who's going on all these adventures. It's almost sort of like Tomb Raider. They are fantastic games, extremely cinematic, really fun. The protagonist, Nate Drake, is really funny. And in fact, in a weird way, he reminds me a lot of Captain Jack Sparrow. Just for the fact that he sort of throws himself into these situations. He doesn't always think of a way out of them. And I think Nate Drake and Uncharted might just be a fantastic property to turn to create an Adventureland ride that doesn't depend on pirates, that doesn't exist elsewhere in any of the parks or in any of the resorts throughout the world. And I think it would be a lot of fun. It would almost be like Disney's unique Indiana Jones adventure, because in a way it's kind of like Indiana Jones. And so the ride structure would remain pretty similar. You could, I suppose, replace the water with a track and then have a faster vehicle or a bumpier vehicle, but I think that sort of treads too much into Indiana Jones territory. So you could always keep it as a boat, and it could be like a miniature adventure by Nate Drake, and it could be, similar to the way Jack Sparrow pops up multiple times throughout the attraction, sort of progressing this little plot that's going on. You could have the same thing with Nate Drake. You can get all of the voice actors to reprise their roles for the attraction. I think it'd be a lot of fun. I think it would introduce a lot of people to it, and I think the storytelling in Uncharted, whether it's the ride that would happen or the games that already exist, I think they're self-contained enough that you wouldn't really have to worry about people having to be Uncharted fans to understand it or to appreciate it. I think that's the cool thing, because if you have somebody who never heard of it, maybe it's like a family of 4 and the kids know Uncharted, but maybe the parents don't. You still have this sort of, not generic, but you have this sort of clean-cut, self-contained adventure with this main character that they'll learn about, similar to the way Pirates of the Caribbean was before those movies existed, right? When you rode Pirates before there was a movie series, you didn't have to know a plot going in. All you knew was, here's an attraction, it's about pirates. And then this would be an attraction about this one adventurer who is very Indiana Jones-esque. And then, you start this relationship with Sony, and maybe you get some other Sony properties going on throughout the park when people ask, why doesn't Disney do a deal with their own video game company? I think it would be a lot of fun. I don't know. It's interesting. It certainly feels like it would almost be blasphemous to replace such a classic attraction like Pirates with something based on a video game, as good as Uncharted is. But again, I think this would be a fun creative exercise. I think the structure of the ride is fitting for it. I think the theme of the land is fitting for it. And I think it could be pulled off in a way that would be really cool and memorable. And it would introduce a lot of people to what would be a really cool series. And on top of that, they're turning Uncharted into a movie. So, you've got that tie-in right there. So you could have all this cross-promotion going on as well. I don't know. I've rambled on too much about Uncharted, so I'm going to stop there. I think it's a cool idea, but what I want to know is, what do you think about the idea? Maybe you think it's a cool idea, you love Uncharted, maybe you think this ride's just too precious for that to happen. I'd love to hear it in the comments below, but more importantly, I want to hear your idea for it. If you were tasked with replacing this attraction with something else, what would you replace it with, and how would that work? Throw your ideas in the comments below. If you have an idea for something you want to see me revisit, also let me know in the comments below, or you can let me know on Twitter. I'm @RobPlays. I want to thank you all for watching. Whatever you're doing, make the most of it. If you want more of these videos right in your inbox, all you have to do is hit that subscribe button. Have a fantastic week, and I will see you all next time for the next episode of Revisiting Disney. Bye, everybody.